First question when I walk up there is, okay, raise your hand if you're right, and raise your hand if you're not. And then I talk about how every single person in that room, no one's raised their hand that they're, and they're all telling the truth. But also by the end of this, lecture and discussion, you'll understand that you're telling the truth and you're also lying at the same time. And that's because we have implicit biases, so you can't tell me that you're not racist.
Feiglinge! Verräter, Versager! Sie nennen sich Generale, weil sie Jahre auf Militärakademien zugebracht haben, nur um zu lernen, wie man Messer und Gabel hält!
Raise your hand if you're racist.
What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the recording. Happy Friday. I hope you're having a wonderful day. There is rot in the public school system, but thanks to Zoom and remote learning, much of these bizarro teachers and grifters are getting caught in 4K, and I absolutely love it. You have a lot of pushback against critical race theory being taught in school with taxpayers, U.S. taxpayer dollars. Critical race theory essentially teaches white students that they have this sort of original sin. I was thinking of the Catholic term, and that they have to actively change themselves because they're bad. They're bad seeds, and even if they haven't done anything bad, they're still bad. And even if they don't think they're bad, they're actually wrong and they are bad. And we've seen this with white privilege training with corporations, unconscious bias, which is one of the most hilarious things that's pushed. This idea that even though you don't overtly discriminate against anybody based on their skin color and you don't have any overtly discriminatory thoughts or messaging, you're still actually discriminatory, just in a way that you can't control. This is a bizarre way of continuing to disparage and divide people instead of bringing people together. By the way, if you haven't yet, please leave a like on this video, and there's a red subscribe button down below on the right. It's the only way you'll find my videos, so I would greatly appreciate if you clicked it. Now, raise your hand if you're a racist. A teacher accuses faculty of lying, and Laura Ingraham rips her. This isn't a lie. I have the original footage, and we're going to take a look at it, and you can be the judge. On Thursday, Fox News host Laura Ingraham slammed educators and their allies across America who are injecting, quote, anti-racism curricula into schools. This whole anti-racism stuff is actually racist, just so you know. Playing a clip from a California psychologist who accused faculty of lying if they claim they weren't racist. Ingraham said, "So if you're white, you're de facto guilty." That's actually correct. That's what critical race theory teaches. Now, if you're not white, you're given special status and consideration. Ingraham introduced a clip by asserting they're preparing, as are many schools across America, to bring racial propaganda into school subjects. Every syllabus, every academic award given out. And look, hey, if you want to teach your kids this, 100% more power to you, honestly. If you want to send your kids to a private school that teaches this because they teach it, 100% more power to you. But when my tax dollars are going to this, absolutely not. It should be banned at all levels of school that accept public funding, at universities that accept public funding. If you want to teach your kids this garbage, go ahead. Get involved with your kid's life. Be a parent. Stop depending on the iPad to do it. They're going to hire scores of rabid anti-American ideologues, destroying what's left at this point of objective merit for students and faculty alike. So if you're white, you're de facto guilty, and if you're not white, you're special status. Now, they've given this diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, but it's really just plain old racism, she continued. Here's the type of DEI consultants and lecturers hired for the reprogramming. Meet Loyola Marymount University psychologist Sherry Atwater, recently hired at Hermosa Beach School District in California to lecture faculty on anti-racism. Ingraham then played snippets of Atwater speaking at the faculty. One of the things I like to do in my multicultural counseling class, first question when I walk up there is saying, raise your hand if you're racist, then raise your hand if you're not, she says in the video. And I talk about how every single person in that room, no one's raised their hand that they're racist. They're all telling the truth. But also by the end of the lecture and discussion, you'll understand that you're telling the truth, but you're also lying at the same time. So, translating that to normal person speak and not somebody who's paid to divide people is that whether or not you're actually a bigot, you're still a bigot. And I'm paid to tell you that. And I'm paid to sell you special deprogramming stuff that's only going to make you hate other races more. But that just means more money for me. This is one of the most obvious grifts of 2020, 2021, and it's infecting our school system from top to bottom. The end of this lecture, yeah, you understand that you're telling the truth and lying. And that's because we have implicit bias about everything. Gender, race, that they operate these unconscious biases without our permission and without your control. So you're terrible, but it's not your fault. Just buy this course and you can correct that. The thing is, if I said this, if you ask this person, well, do black people have the same implicit bias against whites? They would say, no, they're incapable of that due to systemic lack of systemic power. They have an answer for everything, and it always boils down to white people bad. It really does. I wish that I could, I wish that there was more nuance to it, but there really isn't. When you have Verizon Wireless, T-Mobile telling their white and black their white employees, not their black employees, their Puerto Rican employees or anybody else, that they have to take this special training that says because they're white, they're inherently flawed. I don't. If you just change the word white to black, people would be in an uproar. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. So if you can't, so she goes on to say, so you can't tell me you're not racist unconsciously because your brain's built on understanding stereotypes. And that's how we make sense of our world. So the natural reaction to this is, well, if I can't control this and I'm just evil, why would I bother? Why would anybody bother doing anything differently? Honestly, if I'm just going to be, because I'm white, no other skin color or race has this problem, but because I'm white, I'm inherently flawed, and there's literally nothing I can do about it because subconsciously my brain is still doing these bad things, even though I'm not saying them, I'm not writing them, I'm not engaging it in real life. I'm married to a black woman, all these things. You're still racist to these people, and that's why they need to be mocked, ignored, and defunded to the very most extreme extent. They should be laughed at online. Not one single taxpayer dollar should go to these race grifters. These are how people like, what's the one dude? He's one of the worst. Al Sharpton. Absolute garbage human that literally profits off racial division. Do you think Al Sharpton wants blacks and whites to get together or get along better? No, because then he's out of business. Do you think morons like this professor or teacher wants blacks and whites and to get along better? No, because then she's out of a job. The problem is, for the most part, blacks and whites do get along just fine. That's why they have to make up this crap. The overwhelming majority of white people are not racist or homophobic. Because they had been saying that since, pushing this narrative since 2016, people started to get sick of it and say, like, show me actual racism, show me actual bigotry on a large scale. And they just never had it. Yeah, there's a few backwards thinkers out there, but ultimately, they couldn't continue with that narrative. So what they did is they decided to say, well, actually, you're actually a good person, but technically you have this like deep thing in the id of your brain that doesn't like, chocolate people. So you should definitely take my 27-week course on actively rooting that out. It's absurd. These people are a blight on society. They are actively propagandizing our public school system and trying to indoctrinate our children into self-hate. I don't think that having some white lady stick her finger in my face and say that even though I'm not doing anything racist, I still am, is doing anything for the black community, by the way. I would argue that if a person didn't know that it's a grift, right? I know it's a grift. I know these people don't actually believe the garbage they're saying. It doesn't bother me. But do you think Ford brings in someone like this, and you've got a bunch of union steel workers or something taking a class like this, do you think that this is going to improve race relations, or do you think that this is going to garner more resentment for people who are different colors than you? That's exactly what this is. It's actually devious. It's designed to profit from division while also creating more division. It's a pyramid scheme, a Ponzi scheme built on race. Don't buy into it. Make sure you look at what they're teaching your kids in schools and actively root out any school board members or teachers that engage in this garbage with our federal tax dollars. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.